Right. So,
Greetings, everyone. It's Seven from the UK, and I'm coming back with another panel. In today's panel, we're going to talk about what's really happening. We have some amazing guests here who are going to share their testimony of what they've personally experienced in the UK and what is going on in the UK for all of us. And we have Mark Steele, as many of you know. Mark Steele is an amazing weapons expert, particularly on the topic of 5G and some of the deadly technologies that are out there today. And he's got some damning information about child slavery that's happening that we need everybody to help get this information out. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm very well, thanks.
Thanks for coming on. And so we have Beth, who's also from the UK, who has recently I got familiar with Beth from TikTok because she was sharing the information about her grandchildren. They had been taken by social services. She's going to share her testimony with us in a second. How are you doing, Beth?
yes, good evening to you all.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for being here and participating in this panel. We have amazing Sister Cheryl, who I've known for 30 years, who's a fantastic musician, drummer, who has, unfortunately, like so many people in the UK, been subjected to the whole terror targeting, stalking program. And she will be also sharing her testimony. So we need everybody to stay with us today. How are you doing, Sister Cheryl?
I'm good, thanks. Yes, hi to everyone. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, being able to impart some of my experiences and also listen to what everybody else has to say. Oh, by the way, Mark, you that's a Geordie accent, right?
It is that.
I studied, believe it or not, College of Arts and Technology, Newcastle upon Tyne, 1984 to 87.
Oh, wow. That's
Studied my
amazing.
music.
That's amazing. Now, Sister Cheryl, your sound is just a little bit too quiet. We need it as loud as possible. I don't know if you can make it louder.
Well, yeah, like I said, I've got ears above me, and if I take this out, everything you guys say is going to be, and I didn't want that. So, but,
is there another way to increase the volume? See if you can have a tweak of it. So we're gonna whilst you do that, because I know that
is that any better?
No, that's better. Yeah,
that's better. Okay,
yeah.
We'll leave it
yes, yes. Thank you so much. So I want to speak to our Sister Beth here. Sister, you've gone through something quite traumatic recently. I mean, I was watching and sharing your videos on TikTok, and I think you made a huge impact because there was a lot of people talking about your situation. So what actually happened? Just to give us a background, are you in the UK right now? Are you in London?
Where I'm in the UK. Yeah, I'm in Milton Keynes. I'm in the UK.
All right, you're in Milton Keynes. So how did you come to become the voice of TikTok, where you were like sounding the alarm about your grandchildren?
Well, you never go looking for these things. My daughter, who also resides in Milton Keynes, has got 2 children, a boy and a girl. My grandchildren, well, my grandson, initially, this is last year, November the 26th, to be precise.
Yeah. Because it's what are the ages? What are the ages of your grandchildren?
Okay, my grandson is now just turned a year.
Okay.
A year old, and my granddaughter, she'll be 3 in December.
Okay. So what actually happened to bring you onto the TikTok space?
Well, I did have TikTok before, but I wasn't using it to the enormity of what I had to use it for with regards to my grandchildren, because I wasn't going to stop. And I'm still not stopping, may I add. My daughter took my grandson to Milton Keynes University Hospital, as you would do if you need to seek medical attention for your child, because my grandson wasn't feeding too well. As of that time, he was only about 5 months old. He had a lot of nasal congestion. And even though it says second child, she was obviously concerned. So she sought help from Milton Keynes University Hospital. Upon her going there, they started to do some invasive withdrawals of his blood. I mean, they did whatever checks they needed to do. But the thing that was so surprising to us, this lasted kind of like 3 days, where they were monitoring my grandson, but then they sent my daughter home. Now, when it came to the 3rd day, she got a call out of the blue. She'd already been to the hospital that day, and she got a call out of the blue saying that we'd like you to return back to the hospital straight away. So my daughter said, what now? I mean, this must have been maybe 9 or 10 o'clock. Yes, now. And so my daughter was kind of like saying, well, you know, is it not something that we can wait until tomorrow? And they was then, you know, kind of like saying to her, well, you know, are you refusing to come? So she said, I'm not refusing to come. It's just that I'm not driving, and I would have to take public transport. Anyway, she
What time was
got,
this at night? What time?
It may have been about like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
So she gets a call out of the blue to bring the child back.
Yeah, yeah.
This is your 1-year-old grandson.
Yeah, yeah. So
is there anything unusual about his blood? Sorry to cut you. Is there anything?
It's just that it's minus. It's rhesus minus.
So it's rhesus negative, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know of another case whereby apparently they arrested the baby, a newborn baby. They arrested it, and they wouldn't allow the baby to be released because he had rhesus negative blood type. A few years ago, people that I know very, very well, and they had to literally put up a storm to get the baby. And so first of all, just to let you know, this first half, we're going to have to come in because it's going to cut out. It's the way this platform works, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so we're doing
that's the only thing with Zoom.
Yeah, so we've got just over 8 minutes at the moment. So
okay,
you know, when it comes to about just before it's going to shut down, I'll let you know. So continue what you were sharing with us.
Yes, so she took the baby back to the hospital. They did whatever checks, but with the intention of keeping her overnight, which really didn't make any sense, considering they claimed that the baby needed to be brought back to the hospital as soon as possible. So the baby, she and her baby stayed overnight, and the continuation. And during this time that she went back, all that they kept doing was monitoring the baby's temperature, but kept persistently taking bloods all the time. So it went on to the next day. It was exactly the same thing, monitoring the baby's temperature and heartbeat, and then taking bloods yet again, using adult needles in these tubes.
Wow.
So obviously my daughter questioned it, and in actual fact there was a nurse that intervened at the time and said, well, you know, hey, what's going on here? That's not the way to do it. You know, because whoever it was that was taking the bloods wasn't knowledgeable of how to do it, especially when it came to a baby. And the question, the alarming thing was, why were you taking that amount of blood from a then 5-month-old baby? It was just crazy. But all they seemed to be interested in was the blood.
Wow.
So to cut along, so that kept going on. And then obviously, like I said, I reside in Milton Keynes. So I was in close communication with my daughter. And I thought to myself, my own gut feeling said, you know what? I need to pick myself up and go to the hospital, because I couldn't understand what was taking so long, considering she was asked to go back there during the night, and then she was made to stay the overnight. So I went there, and things started to take a bit of a drastic turn, because I thought she was packing up, ready to come back out of the hospital. Next thing you know, she was told that oh, we need to speak to you, and then they decided to take. And she said, well, you know, if it is you need to speak to me about, my mum's here, and we're like all like to go together. So we went into this ward, an empty ward, and then we were faced with these astonishing, how can I put it, accusations, so to speak. Like, and the reason why I say accusations, bearing in mind, because of the complexity of what they wanted to discuss, we then decided to have family members involved in the conversation. So I have a daughter that resides in London. So we invited her, my daughter's partner, who was at home with his daughter, my second grandchild. We invited him to listen in. And I believe my ex-husband as well. I'm not really sure. I think he was involved in it. Anyway, to try and bring the conversation up, the conversation went from my grandson's levels of blood to them making an accusation that my daughter initially took my grandson there with he was having what do you call this thing? Oh gosh. Seizures. That's it. That's the word. Seizures. They said that, oh, you brought your son in with 4 seizures. So we then all looked at one another as if to say, what on earth are you talking about? What 4 seizures? Because that's not the reason my daughter took her son in. And she said, I beg your pardon, seizures. Where are you getting the seizures? I brought my son in based on nasal congestion. Okay. They said, well, we've got it here that it's seizures. So that's when it started to ring alarm bells, because that was the lies already started. And they said that your son is in serious danger, and we need to do some further checks on him, and we're going to need to sedate him. So all of us were kind of like saying, what are you talking about? You know, we couldn't understand what was going on. And obviously they noticed that we all as a family was apprehensive at this, because there was no seizures at all of what was said. So
can I ask you a question, Beth? I mean, I'm a straight shooter. I just tell it like it is. Are you feeling anything? I mean, obviously you're aware that we have people that are Satanists that are operating.
Oh yes, yeah.
And there's been a few documentaries actually of the taking of blood in the UK. I think it was Tessa Jowell, the Ministry of Culture, whose husband at one point had a truck full of people's blood inside it that was being moved around. This was a few years ago. And I mean, we hear a lot about you know, the fact that there is a lot of Satanism going on in the UK. Were you getting any kind of alarm bells that these
yes, of course,
reasons that they were taking were specifically to get the blood? Because obviously he's got a very unusual blood type. And it's probably not the run of the mill. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was even commented when my daughter was having the baby, oh, that you've got very good blood as well. Why don't you donate blood? And so she says, well, you know, if I feel the need to, I'm more than happy to do so. My grandson was born breached delivery as well. So I mean, it was a very complicated delivery. But you know, going back to the story in question, they then brought this so-called doctor, and I have to refer to it as so-called because you don't know who this person is on the other end of the phone, trying to give a diagnosis on a child that you hadn't even seen visibly. Now this person could have been anybody. And so he was saying, based on what I've been told, you know, the baby's got this and the baby's got that, and we need to do some operation, and the baby will need to be sedated. So like we said, we all kind of like said, well, how are you making a diagnosis on an individual that you've not seen, and you're just going by what the hospital's telling you? It all seemed
fictitious. Now, question. We're going to have to come back after the break. We're going to take a little break. But just for people to, you know, you really need to stay with this story, everyone, because this is unbelievable what's going on here. Now, obviously, are you sensing something is afoot here? It's being manufactured.
Oh,
Just in a word.
Yes, it was manufactured, because the thing is, my grandson never had seizures. The only thing that my grandson had was a low vitamin C and vitamin D, which
Wow.
tends to run in melanated
Wow.
families. My own son, who is now 22, had vitamin D deficiency. It's quite a common thing in melanated people because of the
Okay.
lack of sunlight.
So let us, we're going to take a break now, and everybody come back for this in part 2, because this story gets really heavy, and it's going to tie in to what Mark is saying and what Cheryl's saying about the whole overview that we're